Well, we welcome you, Shilpa, here in Dubai with ICAI. We all are chartered accountants, as you know, and we, along with the accounts and the business and the funding, we now want to know about the health. So, of course, we're going to hear from you. Welcome you, Luke.
Thank you.
And before we start, I just want you to talk for a minute or two about what you feel with here in front of chartered accountant in Dubai, which is, of course, one of your favorite cities.
A very, very good evening to everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for being delayed. I was trying to get on a Skype call with my son. Duty comes first as a mother. But yes, sorry. But I just want to say that I'm really overwhelmed. I've done a lot of these health talks before. But this is quite an amazing audience. And it's really wonderful to see that health means something to you. And when I see a turnout like that, it makes me feel good that you don't reach a point of no return. Most people tend to look at their health when something is going wrong. When they have high cholesterol, their BP is rising, cardiac problems, diabetes, that's when they start taking care of themselves. It's nice to see a turnout that wants to make sure that that doesn't happen to them. Because I can assure you, if you people have come out here to listen to us, I don't know about me, but whatever Luke is going to tell you today is going to convince you that health is very easy to maintain. I don't know why we make such a big deal about maintaining health. I'm not using the word weight loss. Weight loss has always been a great deal, okay, especially to women. But choosing my words very carefully, maintaining good health should be paramount. And once we stop being weight obsessed and start focusing on being health obsessed, your lives will change and so will your health. So I really hope that I can play a catalyst in being able to convince all of you present here today, and then I'm sure you will pay it forward to people that you meet. And for me, that's my good karma. And I really come out here because I believe that I've received a lot from a lot of people who have loved me over the years and who continue to show me a lot of love. And I feel that I became an actor to be able to do something for people in the real world. So I became an actor and I enjoy this entire real life that I have led. And I don't know what within me struck me one day and I said, you know what, whilst I've enjoyed all of that, I think it's time to kind of let people know, because I would constantly be asked by people, how have you lost weight after your pregnancy? How do you look like this? You look better than what you used to look before. I felt it was my duty to tell people that it was only possible for me to be the way I am and look the way I look today. Looks apart, I think that's really something that has never been, the first thing that I've given importance to. Secondary, for me, being fit, being healthy was always a big deal. And I made a big modification in my life just, 6 years ago. And a bigger modification after my child was born, when I started reading more. So if I've done it literally 5 years ago, it's never too late to start. So I just want people to understand that I'm here and you are here for a reason. We were meant to meet, and it's all going to be great, because I think it's every human being's right, inalienable right to live healthy, to be happy, and to feel positive, and to be happy, at the end of it all. That's what it comes down to. What's the use of making all this money and, living this great life if you're not going to be healthy? Abhi yahan pe everyone's a chartered accountant, so I don't know if this language is really comprehensible. I'll have to start talking about, all of you sit and make these balance sheets at the end of the year. But how many of us really sit and make a health balance sheet? Have you ever thought about whether the liabilities of your long working hours, your junk food, your cheat days, your binge drinking is really going to equalize with your assets of a lifestyle modification, working out, eating right? This language you understand. Does it really tally? So I just think that the most important thing to remember is a modification or your diet is pretty much like a marriage. You can't expect it to work if you're going to cheat on it, right? So it's a bit of giving, a bit of discipline, and a bit of love. That's what makes the world go round. So without much ado, I would also love to hear what Luke has to say. I'm so happy Luke agreed to come because he's very difficult to pin down. I call him some days and he's like, oh, I'm in the US. Next day I call him, suddenly he's in Dubai. Next day I call him, he's suddenly got traipsed off to London. And I told him I'm doing this. And I said, you have to come and you have to be my support. Whilst I live my life in a certain way, there's a lot I've learned from Luke as well. He's a renowned nutritionist, as you must have all read through my book, his introduction. But the reason we collaborated was because he's such a positive man and he exudes so much goodness. And his main area of expertise is rehabilitating cancer patients. And nutrition plays a very important part over there. So when I got down to meeting him, and we never ever met for work. When I met him, ask him, I met him actually through a friend for my son, who's now 5. I was a new mother. My mother had me when she was 22, so she had forgotten about all the stuff that she had done for me. And this new generation, us, we're a little anal about things. So I needed to know, when do I start feeding my child solids? What should I start feeding him? What can I give him? And that's how someone told me that, you should meet Luke, and he's great. So he came down to meet me, and I was like this big elephant, baby elephant. I had just given birth, and it was barely 3 months, and I was some 80 odd kilos, maybe more, 85 kilos I was, believe it or not. And I've been a constant 60 kilos all through, and he looked at me and he was, I think he was just being polite. So we talked about my son, and I used to maintain this ledger where I would say that, oh, my son has woken up at this time, he's eaten this, I fed him beetroot puree, he did potty at this time, sorry. So he looked and he laughed at me and he was like, you're already doing the right things and you should just add a bit of this and whatever. And then 2 months later, again, he came to meet me. I had shed a lot of weight. And then again, 2 months later, I had lost 32 kilos. I had put on 32 kilos during my pregnancy. And that's when he asked me, he said, you've just shrunk. What did you do? And I said, I'm just eating Indian food and I'm working out. And ghee zindabad. And I said, protein zindabad and rajma. And he says, you know what? People don't understand the power in Indian food. And that's when we got down to talking, and the book happened. The book was born, The Great Indian Diet, and today it's a bestseller. And it's thanks to Pankaj, who manifested us being here today because he was telling me he read the book some 4 or 5 times. And I really believe in the power of visual manifestation. And thank you for all the love and believing in us. And yeah, Luke, please, you talk. I have verbal diarrhea, I'll keep talking.
So it's great to be here, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Number one, she didn't look like a baby elephant when I met her. That's a lie. But I have to say, before we move a little into the health thing, what you see is real today. The reason I've worked a lot with Bollywood, I work a lot with models and people around the world. And I'll be lying to you to say that, people don't take supplements to lose weight. People don't do all these quick fix methods to lose weight, crash dieting, protein supplements, all of these things. I can tell you one thing for sure, it doesn't work. And I witnessed Shilpa's entire journey from that 88 kilos right down, the 32 kilos that she lost. It was natural, normal, real Indian food. And she wouldn't even work out 7 days a week. She was doing twice a week, and then the third day, finally, thrice a week. And that's the story we thought we'd share with everyone, because today everyone's beating up their bodies in gyms and jumping from one workout to another and dieting. I'm telling you, this is real what you see today. No protein shakes, nothing, absolutely nothing. And if you've seen her Sunday binge videos of her eating all her sweets and desserts and stuff like that, she leads a normal life. She has sugar, she has sweets when she wants it, but the point we're trying to make today is about balance. She spoke about health being simple. Today I'm at the end spectrum of human life. I look at 4th stage cancer patients, and I can tell you almost 95% of the patients I see every day should never have been there. Yeah, there are some people who get it genetically, but most people, believe me, it's their lifestyle. At least 90% of them would have probably been there because at some point in their life, they were drinking 2 or 3 glasses of water a day. Many of them had sedentary lifestyles. Many of them were not even aware of what to eat. Most of their food was junk food, processed food. We have to stop being fooled with food that is packaged well and using all these fancy words like organic and non-GMO and wheat and rich in fiber. It's all marketing to fool you. What comes in a packet is processed. It is not providing you any nutrition at all. So today, I'll share a couple of statistics with you. So I look at patients in Dubai, I look at patients in the US, London, India, and everyone has different lifestyles. But I can tell you one thing for sure. I looked at the data last night. 86% of the patients who we diagnose with breast cancer between Jan and this month, do you want to know what the root cause revolved around? Any guesses? Sugar, foods, yeah, that's the common thing that we hear. It is emotional stress. When we diagnose, we try to get to the root cause of why you have a cancer in your body so that we can treat it the right way. If it was caused due to chemical exposure, we know we need to detoxify you, rebuild your immunity. If it was caused because of food, we change the way you eat. If it was caused because of lack of exercise, we change the way you move. But most cases was emotional internalization. Everyone, the one question I ask anyone who comes to me, what was going on in your life 6 months to a year before you got diagnosed with cancer or any disease you had? And these people had an event to mention. For some people it was a divorce, for someone it was the loss of a child, for someone it was a business loss, for someone else it was a family problem chronically happening and emotionally draining you. So as we talk about food, we talk about exercise, we talk about sleep, we should never forget the 4th vertical, which is your stress. All of us have stress today. But the problem is yours acute stress or is it chronic stress? Chronic stress is the stuff that doesn't allow you to sleep at night. The stuff that you hold on inside of you all the time and it slowly drains you. It weighs down your immunity. And any disease today is a disease of immunity. Because you have low immunity, you get a disease. So the focus can be to build a great body, can be to fit into a size 0 dress or fit into your clothes, but you should never forget that the first line and the last line of defense in the human body is your immunity. And today we hope to answer a lot of the questions that you have for us, Pankaj. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
Thank you, Luke. So,
Thank you.
that's a good start. So, Shilpa, how did you get this idea to write this book? What was your inspiration?
I think I answered half the question.
Yeah.
The inspiration, I think maybe the word is fear. The fear of losing someone. There are 3 people in my father's side of the family who have, passed on with cancer. There are people I know who are suffering with cancer. My mom is highly diabetic, and so are her sisters. Whilst we sometimes blame it on genes, and like Luke rightly said, it's also a lot to do with our lifestyles, stress. Also the fact that we are maybe not eating our food the way we are meant to eat it. We are not chewing enough. We are, like we've stated in the book, we've said that, chew your water and drink your food. Ayurveda says that you're supposed to chew 32 times every time you put food into your mouth. But today, everyone's running from pillar to post, trying to get jobs done. Everything else takes precedence but our health. So the food is laid on the table, people are eating on the go, people are going into a place where they can just pick up something, and it may not necessarily be gratifying, but they think that they have satiated their hunger and it'll be great for the body. We have no gratitude for the food we eat. And this attitude is slowly permeating into this new generation, our children. Whilst we are inculcating values, teaching them to fold their hands and touch our elders' feet, nobody is bothering to teach them to chew food, not to watch television while eating, to make sure that they understand the difference between not having aerated drinks and having a simple, maybe nimbu pani. My son is 5, and if he wakes up with a cold, he will ask for a ginger lemon honey water. He actually says, I want a ginger lemon honey water. It's what you teach them. So I just felt that through this book, I really wanted to get back to how we used to live maybe 75 years ago. Just as recent as that. Because you know what? They lived well. They ate ghee. They didn't cook their food in olive oil. With due respect. Suddenly it becomes a fad to have ghee because Madonna is having it. We've been having it for years. But no, suddenly we have switched to olive oil. While the world is having clarified butter and coconut, virgin, cold pressed coconut oil. You go to Holland and Barrett, it is one of the most expensive fats, good fats to have. But in India, people are running away from it. Luckily for me, I'm a Mangalorean. I've been born, with these, with the kind of food that my mom has eaten, and we continue to cook our food in coconut oil. But I want to stab someone when they're cooking their Indian food in olive oil. I'm like, why are you doing this? So we wanted to break the myths. We wanted to simplify it for people. I've seen people suffer, and I didn't I didn't want to see that continue. So I felt on my part, I wanted to do something that could be easy to follow, that would be simplified. And that's why I came up with the Great Indian Diet, and I couldn't have done it without Luke's support. And because we share the same philosophy, we share the same old school world of thinking. How many of us really, I think a lot of people have stopped cooking like food from scratch. The beauty of Indian food is that it's so easy to make and so quick to make. I'm not talking about the biryani and the 3-hour dum biryani and all of that. I'm talking about just general food where there's, turmeric used. Great properties. There's ghee, there's jeera. Each spice has a reason it is put into your food. Spice has nothing to do with this misconception of, oh, it's hot. No. There's a reason jeera and ajwain was used. There's a reason hing was used in lentils and legumes. There's a reason, we used kadi patta, great for thyroid. There's a reason, they say, you can't even have a salad without a drizzle of oil because you need that fat for it to break down. There's a reason we would temper our food with ghee. But we're staying away from all of that. I wanted to get that old world way of cooking, of living, of just keeping it simple. So I think I've answered the question.
Thanks. I remember this chewing your water and drink your food. I think Mahadevan also quoted in your book, when you came back from Australia. Yeah. Luke, of course, why you think this book is a special, and especially for those who would have not read this book, what do you want to say about this, who have not probably would have read this book?
So I think something that Shilpa and I learned through this entire book, if you're suffering from a sickness or you suddenly started putting on weight or you're finding it difficult to lose weight, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, when did this start happening in your life? Now you have to ask yourself one question. In the first 10 to 15 years of your life, if you were not sick, if you were not putting on weight while you were a child growing up, what was your diet at that time? What were you eating? Today we live in Dubai where there are a mix of different cultures, but it is so important that South Indians continue eating South Indian food as their primary diet. It's so important that people from the West Coast or East Coast of India or the North, they continue to try and eat their staple diet. I'll make a statement that food is information to your genes. Now, what does this mean? After you finish breastfeeding, the next foods that you ate over the next 10 years is what grew you up completely. By the time you start breastfeeding, you were probably this small. In the next 10 years, you were probably this big. Those foods that you were fed on by your parents, that food is information to your genes. Your genes are sequenced with the foods that you ate in the first 10 years of your life. Now what happens when you suddenly change your diet as you grow older and older? Your genes are talking to each other all the time. There's signals happening for growth and repair and immunity. The way you look, the way your hair looks, your skin, everything is based on your genes. Now, if your genes don't have that information that it grew up on, we have a problem. So what I realized was when I was flying back from the US and Shilpa and I decided to do this book together, today 95% of my Caucasian patients in the US eat Indian food. They eat spices like turmeric. I treat a couple of the royal members of Dubai. They eat jeera, they eat turmeric, they eat coconut oil, they eat ghee, all these basic foods. And we're slowly transitioning to pastas and Greek food and all of these things which are not staple to us. They're okay, they're not bad. But what is your genetic makeup? We can never forget our roots. So when we start aligning our foods with what our roots are, what we grew up on, believe me, you start seeing that weight starting to reduce. You start seeing your immunity increase and your disease getting better. And that's why they've always said, food is your medicine. They've always said it for the longest time. Food is your medicine. Why? Because it is your genetic makeup. Every cell in your body remembers the food that you ate after you breastfed until the time you grew up. So I think that's a reason you should probably read the book, and that's a reason you should probably open your eyes and realize that the world today is not about dieting anymore. It's not about fad exercising. It's not about working out 7 times a week. People have forgotten recovery and rest, which is the best medicine for the human body. So many people who come to me for weight loss, they say, oh, we're plateaued, we're not losing weight, we're doing CrossFit, we're eating this diet. I just tell them for 1 week, stop working out completely. Give your body a break. And believe me, they start losing weight, because recovery is also a drug that the human body needs. And if you look around at your life today, it's chaotic. We're moving from one thing to another. Most of us don't sleep. Anyone sleeps for more than 8 hours over here? Put your hands up. Not many. And sleep is the most critical part of the entire health journey. All the magic happens while you sleep. Example, men, are your beards growing right now? No. When you wake up in the morning, you have hair growth on your face. That signifies that growth happens while you sleep. Women, while you sleep, your hormones get balanced. If you have less sleep, you have a hormonal imbalance. And believe me, the inability to lose weight and most sicknesses are caused because of hormonal imbalances. Most diseases today. So that's the reason we wrote the book, because we wanted people to get back to the simple way of living your staple Indian diet. You enjoyed the food then, get it back into your life right now.
Thanks. Shilpa, starting with the beginning of the day, how should we start our day? Some people say with the tea, green tea, milk tea, coffee, warm water, lemon water. There are several opinions on this. Can you tell us what is the best to start the morning?
Start your morning with a smile. For starters. Yeah, just be thankful that you've woken up. Just try this exercise before you go to bed. Just thank the universe for whatever you have. Thank your organs for the way it's functioning. How many of us really do that? How many of us even think about it? That's amazing. I'm sure you're in great health, sir, if you're doing that. Because, it's making your mind believe that you appreciate the body. And when your body, mind, and soul are aligned, you will be very happy and very healthy. So when you wake up, automatically you wake up happy, not grouchy and not wanting to kill your husband. Yeah. Or bite his head off. Answering your question, Pankaj, what I do is, before I brush my teeth, I take a huge tablespoon of cold-pressed coconut oil and I gargle for a good 7 to 10 minutes. I'll just keep gargling, make sure that it reaches every part of my mouth, goes into my gums, gargle with it before I throw it out. And then I have a glass of warm water and half a lemon. And if somebody wants to put a quarter spoon of honey, so just kickstart your metabolism, that's great. And I really believe before tea and all of that, start your morning with something raw. Because your body is ready to devour and digest anything, And the first thing that you should give it is make it work, So give it something raw, like a fruit, a smoothie made with yogurt, and, put some fruits into it. Maybe a raw avocado, Yeah, it's just simple. Or a muesli with just, some apple and banana and chia seeds, flax seeds. Just throw everything into it. And, a lot of people actually don't eat breakfast because they're always in a hurry. And some of them just gobble it in. That's the worst thing. So you'd rather just carry it in the car. Eat it on the way. Chew it. Work on it. Take your time. Yeah? And for those people, I'm sorry I'm talking out of turn. I know we're still at breakfast. Yeah. But for those people who tell me that they don't eat on time at lunch, I really want to understand why. Are your bosses going to tell you, don't eat on time? Tomorrow you end up with diabetes. You will end up telling your boss, sir, I've got diabetes, I have to eat. Would that be a better situation, or just taking precaution? So please eat on time and eat the right thing. Moving on.
So, just linking to what you mentioned about the raw foods, again, I'm coming to fruits now. What is the right time to eat fruits? As you mentioned, early in the morning, before lunch, after dinner, because generally I've seen a lot of people will, once they finish their lunch, they will eat as a dessert or as a fruit. Even when we serve dinner in the hotels, you go fruits in the end. So what do you think the right time to eat fruits?
So Luke will give you a technical explanation to it, but the way we both believe and we practice is that we don't mix our fruit with food. Okay? Because you don't want that sugar to go and ferment your food. So I would suggest, if you want to eat fruit, please have it first thing in the morning. Always leave a gap of at least 15 minutes and then have your breakfast. 15-20 minutes at least. Okay? And if you want to have it after lunch, please have it after a good 2 hours. And make sure you don't have anything over it for at least another 20 minutes to half an hour. And don't eat fruit after 5 in the evening. Actually, I would suggest don't eat anything raw after 5 in the evening. Okay, because your metabolism slows down. And it's very simple logic that when you give your body something raw, it tells the mind, your stomach has to then send a signal to the mind that, oh, this is raw. Now we have to produce some acid to cook it. Then your acidity problems start. So you'd rather just keep it light, and then Luke will elucidate why you shouldn't have fruit with food or after food.